Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you in the Tbilisi Palace of the Georgian Parliament. And I would like to ask His Excellency, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Iraklī, Chairman of the Georgian Parliament, for his welcome speech for the opening of this 2 days working activity.
Thank you so much, dear heads of parliament administrations, dear honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for us to host this very remarkable event in the Parliament of Georgia. This meeting, the meeting of the heads of administrations of the parliaments of the Eastern Partnership countries, offers a very good opportunity to exchange the ideas, to strengthen the ties between and among the parliaments, and to better contribute to our democratic developments in our respective countries. We took the presidency of the Open Governors Partnership for 1 year, and during this period we did a lot in order to strengthen the capacities of the Georgian Parliament, to improve its openness, to improve its transparency, and we have implemented a very important and successful reforms in this regard. But of course the challenges remain, and a lot should be done in order to further strengthen the capacities of the Parliament of Georgia. And we are very much ready and interested to strengthen the cooperation with our friendly parliaments in this regard. We have an excellent cooperation with the German Bundestag and GIZ. I would like to thank them for supporting us in this very important endeavor. And I would like to also thank Mr. Kivi Mikanadze, the head of the administration of the Georgian Parliament, for his personal contribution and for his support to this very important initiative. We will very much welcome, of course, different initiatives in the framework of this platform, like the summer and winter academies, which will, of course, further strengthen the professional ties between our parliaments, but which will also strengthen the people-to-people contacts between the representatives of our parliaments, between the administrations of our parliaments. So thank you again for visiting Georgia for this very important event, and I would like to wish you fruitful discussions on this format. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me also greet our guests, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are happy to host this 2 days working meeting at the Tbilisi Palace of the Georgian Parliament. We are grateful for your positive feedback and support provided to our initiative to establish close cooperation among 6 Eastern European countries. We would like to bring special attention to the support of this initiative by all chairmen of the parliaments from countries presented at this meeting. Special thanks should be expressed to the GIZ, which made possible to organize this important working meeting. We highly appreciate interest expressed by our partner, Apparatus of the German Bundestag, regarding this activity. And as a proof of this interest, we have a special guest attending this meeting, Mr. Schaller, who is a Deputy Secretary General of the German Bundestag. We hope that the working meeting will establish basis to deepen cooperation on a parliamentary level among the apparatus of the parliaments of participating countries. We would like to express our gratitude to all delegates who actively participated in preliminary consideration of the draft Memorandum of Understanding, and we have managed to agree the final text of the document. Tbilisi Memorandum of Understanding, which will be signed tomorrow, is a non-political, non-legally binding document which is expressing the goodwill of the signatory countries' Secretary Generals of the Parliament to start active collaboration. We are very much sure that these 2 days will give us the possibility to exchange with the information and experiences and consider various interesting ideas and initiatives in regards to networking and regional cooperation. Thank you for your attention and wish to all of us a successful and fruitful meeting. Thank you, and let me pass the floor to Mr. Ulrich Scholler, Deputy Secretary General of the German Bundestag.
Thank you, dear colleague, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues. It is a great pleasure for me to be here with you today and to address you on behalf of the administration of the German Bundestag at this inaugural meeting. It is a pleasure for several reasons. Firstly, it is, of course, as for all of you, nice to be able to enjoy your hospitality here in Tbilisi and to get to know your beautiful city better. I've been here 10 years ago, and my impression is it has changed a lot in between. Many thanks for this opportunity, and at the same time, though, my visit is also a continuation of partnerships which the Bundestag administration has cultivated over a long period with some of your parliaments. Over the past years, staff from your administrations have traveled to Berlin for various study visits in the framework of international parliamentary strengthening programs. Indeed, I was able to meet and talk to quite a few of you personally on such occasions. These trips were generally organized as individual measures, though rather than being interlinked. Thanks to the GIZ initiative, this has now changed, however, which is another reason for us to be pleased. Since 2016, we have supported the multilateral strengthening which GIZ began initially in Georgia and Armenia. This year, with the launch of the current project, initially for the parliamentary administrations of 5 of the 6 Eastern Partnership states, a truly regional program has taken shape. We very much welcome this development, and the program has our wholehearted backing. Special thanks go to the GIZ for having initiated this development and continuing to underpin it. Deciding to cooperate with several neighboring countries on improving an individual parliamentary administration makes sense for a number of reasons. Quite apart from the fact that it is good for us at the Bundestag, since we can now use our resources for strengthening even more effectively. You have a shared history and cultural roots, and your countries have many things in common, despite the many differences which of course exist. This common background also makes it somewhat easier to engage in dialogue on the functioning of your parliamentary administrations, your political cultures, or the conduct of your deputies, along with your constitutions and rules of procedure and best practice within your administrations. The focus will be on the things you have in common, but also on the differences which exist. You will undoubtedly identify many shared problems and, as we hope, many shared solutions. Your parliaments and administrations, with the exception perhaps of Ukraine, are of a very similar size. Certainly you have more similarities with each other than with the German Bundestag. That is why it makes particular sense for you to think together about new approaches which could be appropriate and helpful for your countries. We from the Bundestag administration are happy to support you in this and to explain our way of working. We are also happy to engage in discussions with you on the reforms which might make sense in your context, and then to help you as far as possible in implementing them. And there is another aspect which makes this regional approach so valuable, namely the regional dialogue which develops and which ideally in turn leads to regional cooperation. We are all aware of the conflicts and tensions which sometimes arise in your region. This project, promoting cooperation, can make an important contribution to countering such conflicts. If closer ties and dialogue develop at parliamentary level, this is an important signal which can serve as a beacon, since you are all representatives of your societies. And finally, I am pleased that the initiative for this meeting came from your side and that you have all taken up the invitation to travel to Tbilisi. I very much welcome the extension of the direct parliamentary contacts already in existence with the Euronest framework to cover the parliamentary administrations and the creation alongside the ASGP of a new forum tailored to your region. Your Memorandum of Understanding represents an important step forward in this context. I wish you every success with your deliberations and hope that you all benefit from this regional cooperation and are thus able to further enhance the parliamentary work done for the people in your countries. The administration of the German Bundestag looks forward to supporting you in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Scholler, for your interesting presentation and welcome speech. And let me move to the next speaker, who is Mr. Daniel Haas, Head of Development Cooperation, South Caucasus Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany in Georgia, for his welcome speech. Please.
Dear Mr. Iraklii Kubakidze, Chairman of the Parliament, dear representatives of the parliamentary administrations of all 6 Eastern Partnership countries, dear honorable guests. In the European neighborhood policy, the EU recognizes the central importance of public administration reform in its neighboring regions. Public administration reform is also considered a fundamental to the accession process to the EU. It is one of the key reform pillars along with rule of law and economic governance. In the Eastern Partnership countries, public administration reform, and this includes the parliaments, of course, is considered one of the main objectives to reach in the upcoming years, as it is reflected in the revised so-called 20 key deliverables of the Eastern Partnership for 2020. As a consequence, the topic is relevant not only in the association agreements signed by Georgia, Ukraine, and Moldova, but also in the existing or planned upcoming partnerships with other EAP countries. This credo that effective and accountable administration, that good governance is so relevant for building trust and to increase performance of reforms, this credo is more and more embraced by the Eastern Partnership countries, and public administration reform therefore has become one of the top priorities in the national reform agendas. For example, Georgia already in 2015 came up with a public administration reform roadmap and an action plan, and progress in regard of these achievements of the planned milestones and targets is quite impressive. And there are also other examples from this region we are talking about today, and I would like to name just some prominent examples. Another example for Georgia, the one-stop shops in Georgia, which very oftentimes impress deeply visitors from Germany. The latest was the business delegation I accompanied to the Justice House here with when Chancellor Merkel visited Tbilisi, is one very good example for a more efficient and effective service delivery for citizens. Moldova undertakes comprehensive reforms of the whole government, merging several ministries and reorganizing tasks and procedures to make the whole system more responsive, efficient, and transparent. And in Ukraine, we observe large-scale reforms of civil service and public service delivery. In Azerbaijan and Belarus, modernization of public service delivery and expansion of e-governance are progressing very much. And in Armenia, modernizing ministries and state agencies contributes to better policy planning, implementation, and monitoring of results. Against this background, I would like to mention that since 2016, the German government, through its Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, supports these reforms in all 6 countries of the Eastern Partnership with the so-called Regional Fund for Public Administration Reform, which is implemented by GIZ. The Regional Fund supports projects which complement other existing activities in the framework of our development cooperation related to public administration reform and good governance. And in this way, we try to, or we help to reform dynamics, political trends and needs in the countries of the Eastern Partnership and try to flexibly address these. Furthermore, cooperation between countries and institutions is supported, and this conference, I think, is a very good example for mutual learning processes and how networks can foster development. Especially this working meeting aims to strengthen networks within the national parliamentary administration as well as between parliamentary administrations of Eastern Partnership countries. And I think regardless of the extent to which the political system of a country resembles a parliamentary democracy already, the project intends to strengthen selected divisions of the parliamentary administration to improve their services. I would like to emphasize the important role the German Bundestag plays in this respect, and I'm very thankful to have the Deputy Secretary General, Professor Schöler, here with us today, so that the experience and resources of the German Bundestag will nurture our discussion about common challenges, but also possible solutions that improve the performance of the parliamentary administrations. Ladies and gentlemen, this event is an important contribution to the establishment of the first regional platform of the parliamentary administration in the Eastern Partnership, which will be even fixed by signing a memorandum of understanding. And I'm very thankful to the Georgian Parliament to host this meeting, and I believe that this platform can make an important contribution to strengthen interparliamentary relations and cross-country dialogue among institutions, being so relevant for good governance and democratic development. Thank you very much.